welcome to our lesson, grade 6 science. We are going to talk about the human body as our first topic. Now, on our previous classes, that is grade 4 and grade 5, you were taught about the human body. Now, in grade 4, we learned about the parts of the human body whereby we talked of the teeth. Now, coming to grade 5, you are also taught about the human body whereby you are taught about the digestive system, and then you are also taught about the breathing system. Now you are taught about digestive system whereby you are told that digestive system begins from the mouth and ends at the small intestine. And then you are also taught about parts of the breathing system whereby you are taught that breathing system, we have got parts which are involved. Some of them you talked of were to do with we had got the lungs, we have got the diaphragm, we have got the trachea, we have got the bronchus, and then you also talked about the nose as part of the breathing system. Now in grade 6, we are going to talk about parts of the human body, whereby we'll talk of the main part and then we'll also talk of the female part. Now to begin with, what is reproduction? As much as the human bodies are concerned, what is reproduction? Now, in reproduction, we talk of the process through which living organisms fuse to produce new offspring. So that is reproduction, the process by which the living things or living organisms fuse to produce the new offspring. Now, this can be, we have got reproduction which can happen in human beings. At the same time, reproduction happens in the plants. Now in grade 6, we are going to talk about, in this, we are going to have a look at the human beings. After which, when we'll be talking about plants, we'll also see reproduction coming in. Now, we are going to have a look at the word reproduction. So we say the process, it is the process via which living organisms fuse to produce new offsprings. The process via which living organisms fuse to produce new offsprings, we talk of it to be reproduction. Now, after which, we have got, for reproduction to take place, there must be parts which are involved. Now, how does reproduction comes in? We have got parts which makes up the reproductive system. Remember, we have got the male being and we also have got the female being. Now, we have got the parts of the male reproductive system, and then we also have parts of the female reproductive system. Now, when you group these parts together, we talk of reproductive system. So that brings us to the next thing. What is reproductive system? What is reproductive system? Now we say that reproductive system, these are the parts of the human body which are involved in the process of reproduction. The parts of the human body which are involved in the reproduction. The parts of the human body which are involved in the reproduction forms the reproductive system. So from there, we are going to have a look. We have got two types of reproductive system. We have got the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. Now the reproductive system consists of So the reproductive system consists of the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system. So we are going to have a look at the male reproductive system. We are going to see parts which are involved in the male reproductive system. Now, the male reproductive system, when you're talking of the male, we are referring to parts of a man as a human being. Which parts are found in a man? Now, in male, we have got a chart which shows the male reproductive system here. Now, in our chart, we have got parts. Now, in this part, we call it the bladder as the male reproductive system. We have got the part bladder. From there, we have got the glands. Then we also have got the sperm duct, where sperms are produced. We also have got the penis, we have the scrotum, and then we have got testes, and finally we have got urethra. Now all these parts make up the male reproductive system. Now after which we'll see the function of each and every part, from the bladder to the testes all the way to the penis. We'll see how does this part help the human being in the day-to-day activities of the body. Now the parts include we have got bladder, which acts as the storage for urine. Number 2, we have got the testes. In singular, plural, they are known as testes. Then we also have got the third part, which is the urethra, which acts the passage for urine. Number 4, we have got the next part, which is the penis. 5, we have got another part, which is the scrotum. So from there, we have got the glands, which is our 6th part. Now those parts makes up the male reproductive system. We have got bladder, we also have testes or testes in plural, we have got urethra, and then we move to penis, scrotum, and finally we have got the glands. Now all these parts, they play a major role in the male reproductive system. What are the roles? Now to begin with, we are going to have the first part and its function. So our first part that we are going to talk about, we are going to talk about the testes as a part of the male reproductive system, and then we are going to see the functions of this part, the male part, which is the testes. Now we know that we have got 2 testes in a human being, and these testes they play a major role. Now the testes, we talk of them as being 2 oval or round organs that produce sperms. Now sperms are produced in this part. That is function number 1. This is the part that reproduces the sperms, which are known as the male sex cells. Now 2, they lie below the penis and are continued a sac known as scrotum. Now testes are located inside the scrotum, which is this. Now the scrotum is this outer part. Then inside the scrotum, we have got the testes, which is a ball shaped. So we have got the left one and the right one. Now that is in the male. So the scrotum acts as it covers the testes. Now from there, we move to, now as I had told you earlier, we have got 1, which is known as testes. When they are in plural form, they are known as testes. So functions. Testes or testes, and then the first one we say, as I told you, they produce sperms. That is the main function. And then they are contained in a sac known as the scrotum. In a sac known as the scrotum. And then lastly, we say they are 2 in number. So the main function there, they produce sperms. And then our second part, we are going to have a look at something known as the sperm duct. The sperm duct as part of the male reproductive system. Now we have got this part, the sperm duct. Now the sperm duct, we talk of them to be 2 tubes that run from the testes and in the urethra. So we have got the 2 tubes which runs from the testes and ends in the urethra. So when we are talking about the sperm duct, this is it. So the sperm duct runs all the way from the testes, which is located inside the scrotum. Now this is the testis. From here runs the sperm duct all the way through up to this point, and then it connects to the urethra. So the urethra as a part is here, and then we have got the sperm duct which is at this point. Now what is the function of this sperm duct? How does it help? Now sperm duct, they transport sperms from the testes to the urethra. That is the main function of the sperm duct. We say they transport sperms from the testes to the urethra. So sperm duct transports sperms from the testes to the urethra. Now our third part that we are going to have a look at, we are going to talk about the glands. Now what is the role of these glands, or what are glands? Now glands, we talk of them to be fluids through which the sperms are able to swim. So they facilitate the movement of sperms. We have what? Glands. Now you see the glands produce fluid through which the sperms swim. They produce fluid through which the sperm swims. So that is the function of the role played by the glands. Apart from there, now we have got when it transports the fluid which mix with the sperm, there is a name given to that fluid. So that brings us to something known as, we have got the semen. Now what are semen? In glands we find they come and meet with the semen. So we say semen is a fluid, is a mixture of fluid and the sperm. The mixture of the fluid and the sperm. The mixture of the fluid and the sperm is known as a semen. Then we also talk of the other part which we are going to have a look at is now the urethra. Now remember, we would say that we had got the sperm duct which ensures that the sperm swims all the way and passes through the urethra. Now that brings us to the next part, which is the urethra, we are going to see the function of the urethra as a part. How does urethra help the sperm duct, or how does the urethra work hand in hand with the scrotum? So our next part, we have got the urethra. Urethra as a male reproductive system part. Urethra, and then we say that it is a small tube that runs through the center of the penis. It is a small tube that runs through the penis. Now this part is the penis. The whole of this is the penis. Now inside the penis we have got the urethra. Now there is a difference. In male, the urethra is located at the same point with the penis, but then in female you'll find that the urethra is located at a different point with the vagina. Now in this case we want to see this tube, this small tube that runs in between the urethra in male. We've said it is known as the urethra. Now, what is the role of the urethra as much as the penis as a part of the male reproductive system is concerned? What is the role played by the urethra? Now, one, we've said it is a small tube that runs through the penis. Now, what is its role? Now, it forms a passage through which sperms come out of the body. That is the first role. It forms a passage. It forms a passage through which sperms comes out of the body. Now it is not only sperms that come out through this part. We also have got urine as a waste product. Now urine is also given out as a byproduct through this part, which is the urethra. So number 2, we say it also forms a passage through which urine passes from the bladder. Second role, it also forms a passage through which urine passes from the bladder So that is our second role, from the bladder to the outside, from the bladder to the outside of the body. So it also forms a passage through which urine passes from the bladder to the outside of the body. That is the third role. And then something you have to know, we consider urethra as a medium of passage, but then a bladder is not part of the male reproductive system. It only acts as a storage for either, we have got the bladder which stores the urine. Now this we will discuss into details when we reach in grade 8. So the last part which we are going to have a look at, we have got the penis. Penis as the last part. Now, as we had said, on our chart, we have got this part, which is the penis. Now, inside the penis, we have got the urethra, and then we also talked of the sperm duct, which runs from the scrotum all the way to the urethra. And then we also talked of the bladder. Now the bladder is located right here. Now the role of bladder normally is to act as a storage of urine. When kidney gives out urine as a byproduct, then it is then stored into the bladder, after which when the bladder is full, now it is given out as a byproduct through the urethra. Now in this case we have got the penis to be our last, that is as much as we are talking of the male reproductive system. Now what is the role of the penis, or what is penis? Now we say that the penis is an external body organ. It is an external body organ. It is an external body organ. As much as it is an external body organ, it also has some work which it has to do to ensure that our body maintains constant body temperature and to ensure that each and every activity within the body is carried out properly. Now in this case, we say that its work is to introduce sperms into the female reproductive system during sexual intercourse. Now during sexual intercourse, it is the role of the penis to introduce the sperms into the female reproductive system, which is the vagina. So once the sperms have been introduced into the vagina, we call it fusion has taken place. Now the sperms will now have to meet the ova, after which we'll say fertilization has taken place. Now once they come into contact, that will now lead to what is called a person becoming pregnant. Now that one we'll discuss into details, that is in grade 8. But at this point, apart from it being an external body organ, we also say its work is to introduce the sperms, in bracket, male sex cells. Male sex cells into the female reproductive system. To introduce the sperms, which are the male sex cells, into the female reproductive system. And then we also talk of it, it allows all sperms and urine to come out through the body. The last role, it allows all sperms and urine. It allows all sperms and urine to come out of the body. Now that is all about the male reproductive system. Remember, we've talked of the parts and their functions. We began by we talked about the sperm duct, we moved to the penis, we've also talked about the scrotum, we talked about the testes, whereby I've told you in plural they are also known as the testes. And then from there we've also had a look at the urethra, and then we've had a look at the glands, and we've talked about the bladder together with their functions. Now that brings us to the end of our subtopic, which is the male reproductive system. Now in our next lesson, we'll be having a look at the female reproductive system. Now in relation to that, you will notice that there are parts which are involved in the male reproductive system which are absent in the female reproductive system. And the same, we have got parts which are involved in the female reproductive system which are not found in the male reproductive system. Now that is the end of our lesson for today. So until we meet next time.